Good morning, everyone. I want to first acknowledge that I'm joining you from Treaty 6 territory in the traditional lands of the Métis. My name is Samantha Becotte, and I'm the president of the Saskatchewan Teachers Federation, and I just want to share my thanks for everyone taking the time to join us here today. As well, I want to express my thanks to the Premier and the Minister of Education for prioritizing students and teachers, recognizing the significant challenges that are experienced in schools and providing a new mandate for the Government Trustee Bargaining Committee. We're looking forward to the discussions that will begin on Monday and are feeling cautiously optimistic that we will finally be able to engage in real negotiations with the GTBC. Over the past 3 rounds of bargaining, the top priorities of teachers have not changed. We need to see improvements to teachers' compensation, and we need to see improvements to students' learning conditions and teachers' working conditions. We have been very clear that we cannot allow for these issues to be pushed off to a committee or to accept any empty promises of future investment. Students and teachers need real commitments, and they need them now. Over the last month, we have seen teachers' commitment through their job action to having these issues addressed. We've also seen that teachers are not alone in their position. There has been an overwhelming amount of support from the public, including those directly connected to schools, like students, parents, and their grandparents. Also, those less connected, like business owners, religious groups, and professionals like doctors and lawyers. Everyone understands that investing in public education now means we're setting Saskatchewan up for success in the future. On behalf of the 13,500 teachers in Saskatchewan, I want to share our sincere thanks for all of the support that has been shown to date throughout this fight. We have approached negotiations in good faith throughout the entire process, and that approach has not changed, which is why we announced yesterday that sanctions would be suspended at this time. We have set aside 2 days, and we are ready to negotiate all through the day, all through the night if needed, to reach an agreement with this government. And we're hopeful that the GTBC has the authority to engage in good faith negotiations as well. If we're not able to reach an agreement over those 2 days, further sanction action may be announced following the dates. I'm happy to take anyone's questions. As well, we have Angela Banda online, and she'll be able to respond in French if it is wanted at the end of questions. Alec?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Given the video from Minister Cockrell yesterday, it seems like specifically what he was talking about was wages and it being indexed to CPI. Do you have any indication that the GTBC's new mandate will include matters of classroom composition and complexity when you go to bargain next week?
Well, the communication we received from the GTBC was that they had a new mandate, and despite the minister's comments in his video, the one thing I can agree with is that those conversations happen at the bargaining table, and the best agreements happen through negotiations. And so we're looking forward to the conversations and hearing what the GTBC is able to provide, and hopefully being able to engage in back and forth conversations. Despite what their mandate might be, we will continue to bring it up, and so it will definitely be a topic of conversation that we anticipate will be addressed at the bargaining table.
And if it is just a matter of wages, if they're willing to engage with, let's say, 9% over 3 years or 12% over 4, is that sufficient, or do you think that the membership, the 13,500 members that you represent, will be in favor of that if it's put to a vote?
Well, we have done extensive consultation throughout our preparation for bargaining in this round. We had 9,000 different data points collected through that consultation process, and consistently teachers said that they need to have protections around their working conditions. We need to see improvements to supports for students, and we need to ensure that we're setting teachers and students up for success in our pre-K to 12 education system here in Saskatchewan. And so consistently, both compensation, but also class complexity, those 2 issues fell at the top of the list. And so we have been very clear that we expect class complexity to be addressed. And any agreement that does not include class complexity is not sufficient from our perspective and from the perspective we've heard from teachers across the province.
Last thing for me for right now. I think a decent amount of hay has been made over some of the video and clips used in the video that was tweeted out yesterday. It looks like some of the classroom footage was from Denmark, other moments of it was from America, and it seems as though people were maybe a little bit upset with the classrooms depicted. I mean, for you watching that, for you seeing those clips, was there anything that kind of stuck out to you, or did you have any comment you wanted to get out there regarding the video itself?
Well, through any of the videos that the ministry and the government have put out depicting classrooms in Saskatchewan, it hasn't been, or it has been clear that they do not depict the reality that students and teachers experience in classrooms here in Saskatchewan. Obviously, we can't go around and snap pictures of real classrooms. We want to protect student identity, but the environments that are in those classes just don't match our reality. Teachers know that, students know that, and parents know that after being in schools and seeing that. So I don't know what strategy the government has. I mean, it's a great question for them of why those pictures, why are they putting out those images? But we know that it doesn't match our reality.
Cool. That's all for me. Thanks.
Thanks, Alec. Josh?
Yes. So you mentioned that obviously you'd like to come to some kind of conclusion at the bargaining table that's satisfactory for both parties, ideally. If the government is not prepared to address classroom complexity and these other issues, which have been sort of paramount throughout this process, how the Federation finds the talks are not going productively, how quickly might some form of job action resume?
Well, we have heard from the minister that they are committed to investing into education. And so if those commitments are real, and we should be able to expect investments to last over a longer term, I don't know why they might be hesitant to include them in an agreement where they can be held accountable and we can ensure that students are going to get the supports that they need over a long term. So we are hopeful that next week will include a commitment around improvements in our classrooms where class complexity can be addressed. And if they don't, if talks break down, we do have the 2 days that are booked, and beyond that, then any sanction action that is announced, similar to what we have seen in the past, would require a 48-hour notice. So that is what people could expect if talks were to break down, is that we would still continue to provide the 48-hour notice as we always have.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, Josh. Andrew?
Hey, good morning. Why do you think this was presented by the government at this time rather than earlier or perhaps later when, more job action was taken? Why do you think now is the time that both sides are going to get back?
I don't know. I'm actually disappointed that it's coming this late. I mean, we have taken significant action. We have been at the table since May, like I said, nearly 9 months. And this is the first movement that we have seen from government. It is unfortunate that it's taken this much effort and this much pressure from teachers and the significant actions that they've had to take. We could have found a resolution earlier. We have been ready to negotiate, ready to have those back and forth conversations. And it's disappointing that it's taken this long, but happy that it's coming now and not later. As we've said, we want to find solutions. We want to make sure that students are getting the supports that they need, and we don't want that to be delayed. So if we can get supports to students this year, improve supports in schools this year, we want to have that happen. So any delay in the process just means it's a delay for students to get their needs met.
And with, the video it is talking a lot, mostly about salary. What kind of attitude are you expecting, either yourselves or the government to go into this with, to start talking again here?
Well, we have always approached these conversations in good faith, despite whatever actions the political elected officials take. And we would hope that the GTBC does that as well, although they receive their mandate from the ministry and the Premier Treasury Board are the ones that are impacting the decisions that they make. But we are very hopeful that they're coming in good faith and ready to have back and forth conversations. But I mean, that would be a great question to ask their representatives. We have always been respectful at the table and ready to engage in conversations. And like I said, we're hopeful that the other side is approaching it in the same way. Will?
Hi, good morning. I was just wondering if you can expand on some of the supports in the classrooms that you guys will really be seeking during this round of negotiations? Like what exactly you guys want to see there?
Well, our opening proposal that we put forward was very comprehensive in that it addressed class size, but not just class size on its own, looking at the needs of students within classes, making sure that students have supports if they require one-on-one supports, looking at ratios between students to other professional supports that are in schools, like mental health counselors, speech language pathologists, occupational therapists. But also we recognize that different areas of the province have different needs. And so we'd be happy to engage in a conversation at the table to look at how we can have or how we could create a mechanism that would ensure accountability, that funding would be provided to school divisions, and that there is accountability on the decisions that are being made by local boards. Having teacher input in those conversations is obviously critical to ensure that they have an accurate understanding around the needs of students in those areas. So there's lots of ways that this can be addressed, and we recognize that the issues that we've experienced in schools and the erosion of supports in our schools has occurred over nearly a decade. And so we don't expect everything to be solved in 1 year, and maybe not even within one contract, but we need to have commitments that things are going to start improving and be able to see a path forward of where we might get to or how we might get to when we were back to when we were first in the country. So how can we get back to that level of supports that we had previously?
Thank you. That's it from me.
Thanks, Will. Eric?
Hello, yeah, just hoping to confirm the timeline here. So you've said there's 2 days blocked off for negotiations. Is that Monday, Tuesday next week? And then we could see strike action 48 hours after that if those talks don't work out?
Potentially. Like I said, we're going to this in good faith. We are really hopeful that at the end of the 2 days, hopefully it is a positive announcement that we're making about a tentative agreement that has been reached between teachers, government, and school boards. But beyond that, absolutely, if we do not see government coming in good faith, if they're not engaging in negotiations with a back and forth to make sure that all sides are satisfied, then we would provide if there were additional sanction actions that would be required at that time, we would provide a 48-hour notice when we felt the action was needed.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric. Okay, so not seeing any other hands up at this time. Just again, share my thanks to everyone for joining me here this morning, and as well for shining a light on the reality that students and teachers are facing in schools across the province, and sharing our perspective of the situation that we find ourselves in with the dispute with the government. We are very hopeful that we can get back to the table and reach an agreement with the government. We are ready to engage in those conversations at the table, and hopefully next week we are providing an update with some more good news.